Hey, what is going on, everybody? Chris Williams here. And if you want to know how to achieve your actual goals, I'm going to give you the number one secret that a lot of people don't tell you. So the biggest secret that I am learning about actually achieving goals is something that I didn't understand until one day I was sitting in a conference. And when I heard these two words put together, it totally changed my outlook on how I will achieve anything. Normally, when you hear people talk about their goals, they typically talk about how they may have burned the midnight oil on one end, and then on the other end, they may have taken, years to kind of get there. And most of us listeners are captivated by the story, and we're kind of left in the middle drooling. Then when we leave, we don't have really anything tangible to help us out. So what I've realized is the number one way to really be able to achieve anything that I'm after in my life is I have to put these two words together. I've got to be aggressively patient. Aggressive means I've got to be tackling the things every single day to work towards the goal. Sports people, pro athletes have to work out consistently. What we see on the TV has nothing to do, it pales in comparison really to the work that they put in off the camera, on the court, at practice, on the field, wherever it may be. They put in an absorbent amount of time and energy on mechanics, little things. They got aggressive with the craft of what it is that they do. But I also need that patience. And that patience part is me being patient with myself as I develop a maturity of what I'm learning and what I'm doing while I'm being aggressive. A patience in the results that I might be going after. A patience with others who may not be getting my vision that I believe that I'm so aggressive about. A patience with the opportunities that might present themselves. A patience with all the losses that I might experience. Something that I've been recognizing lately when I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs is just how many different businesses they tried and failed at before they found one that actually worked. I've realized within myself that I would get frustrated and want to walk away from entrepreneurship altogether because one thing didn't work out right. Even though I was aggressive in getting it off the ground, aggressive with my work, aggressive with promoting it, aggressive with everything else. And I wasn't really patient with particular results. And the truth of the matter is that patience could be 1 month, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. How long are you willing to stick with something until it works for you? So here are 3 reasons why I believe in this concept of being aggressively patient. The first reason is I really believe that it will help you build a really strong foundation. Let's say your goal is to make $10,000 a month. While that might be a great goal, you have to ask yourself, what am I willing to do in order to be able to earn that $10,000 a month? What am I willing to learn? How many people am I willing to talk to? How many different things am I willing to try? What is my time frame between the idea of $10,000 a month and actually putting things out there in the marketplace for me to be able to earn money? Because the truth of the matter is, some of us, the reason why we aren't making $10,000 a month is because you think there's a perfect way to go about it. One of the other reasons that it's important to cultivate this firm foundation is because we've got to understand that many of us fail because we fail to plan. If we suffer from shiny object syndrome, part of the challenge is we're chasing everything that somebody else is making money in that we have zero passion on. While at the same time, you could talk to some entrepreneurs who say, I don't need to have a passion for it. As long as it makes money, I'm gonna keep doing it. But I think if you're a newcomer or you're wanting to figure out how you can grow the revenue with your business, you've got to start asking yourself, what are the things that have to happen in order for either this thing to continue to make money, or if I'm just starting out and I just want to make the 10 grand a month, I got to look at what actually makes money. Why do things make money? And the more you start to understand that and plan what it is you're going to be doing, plan the hours you're going to work outside of a day job if you have one, or if you're inside your business, plan the things that you're going to do. Sit down with people and talk about strategy. I think that's one of the most interesting things is that we don't have a solid plan. And when you don't have a solid plan, you don't have a clarity. And when you don't have clarity, it creates confusion for you and the other people that you're trying to get to help you in the first place. Part of the plan should include what skills you either need to acquire or are you going to hire for? You know, if you look at some of the people that you actually follow who are influential in your business journey, or people that you look at and you say, you know what, that's the kind of person that I want to model. There's some things that are hidden that you have no idea about. You know, people look at Elon and they admire what the results have been, but not many of us would want to sleep on the floor of the company that we're trying to build all the time. Alex Hormozy started Gym Launch and was actually, before Gym Launch started, he was owning gyms. And for him, sleeping on the floor of the gym after he would get done at 10 p.m. at night, as he tells the story, made much more sense for him because it just cut down on the amount of time of closing the gym, doing the paperwork, going to sleep, and waking up early enough to be able to take the first client. Again, we've got to stop and think about what are all the things that are going to go into what it's going to take for me to get where I want to be and how quickly I want to get there. Until we have a firm foundation with our goals and we've cultivated it and we've been clear about it, it's going to be really hard for us to want to commit, mainly because you tend to run across things that you're constantly having to ask yourself the fork in the road. Do I want to keep going or do I want to stop? Because we didn't really stop to really, in the very beginning, plan out what is this going to look like and communicate that with those around us that we love. So the second reason I really believe in this idea of being aggressively patient is because we got to have something that allows us to navigate the setbacks and the obstacles that we're going to face. There are things that even with the best laid plans, you don't know, that financially are going to cost you, that are going to test the limits of your emotional fortitude. You know, you've heard the quote from Mike Tyson, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Well, obstacles and setbacks can punch you in the mouth pretty much every single day, twice on Sunday. And so while you're being aggressive in trying to reach those goals, this is where the cool patience part comes. Because a lot of the obstacles that we are dealing with are important for us to have them happen when they happen so that we have the opportunity to actually learn a lesson. One of the most interesting things I've figured out in my life is that there's not a lesson that I have had on repeat that wasn't already there the first time. It's just that it showed up in a different form. So it's my responsibility to learn those lessons as quickly as possible so that when I do run across some particular scenario or something pops up, I can recognize it and I have grown from that. And now I can move on. You know, it's important to ask ourselves during high stressful times or when things aren't going our way, what is your default? How do you respond? Are you combative? Do you hurt the people around you? Do you not talk? Do you listen to worry, doubt, and fear the entire time that the particular situation is going on? This is why I said this concept of aggressively patient is so interesting, because you have to learn to be patient with yourself and increase your self-awareness of how it is that you typically react when things don't go our way. You know, I can remember one time we lost like $300,000 on a real estate deal. And when it came to money, I'm the kind of guy that would freak out over large numbers, especially if I'm losing the money. We had bought this motel and it was right before the year of COVID, and then COVID came. And so the construction, everything, none of the stuff was going right. We found a lot of bad actors. It was just a whole bunch was going on. And I personally was freaking out. Thankfully, my wife is definitely opposite of me at that time when it came to losing deals. But one of the interesting things that that situation taught me was about myself. Chris, you say you want this particular lifestyle, but when it comes to that particular lifestyle and doing business on that level, you have to be okay with those types of numbers. I have to be okay with losses, but I also have to start having some decision criteria that helps me make decisions faster so that I don't have an issue with whatever I chose. Because what I also realized in that situation was I was so concerned about the outcome that I wasn't actually focused on the middle and the things that I could have learned along the way. Thankfully today, I learned a lot from that particular situation and got back on the real estate. But because of my wife, with the way that she thinks about money and about opportunities, for her way of thinking, it helped pull me out of just like this mental funk that I was in because of all the money that we had invested that didn't turn out the way we wanted. So a few things that I've done in order to be able to stay motivated and continue the journey of life when things go down is, number one, I have to give myself some grace. 2, everything is not forever. 3, emotional attachments to things like money and failure and stuff like that are the reason why things continue to prolong in our life. Learn to do things emotionless and learn how to make decisions and make moves moving forward in my future with just the facts. That changed a lot of things for me. Now, the third and last reason why I really believe in this concept of being aggressively patient is there's something to be said about organic growth. Some of us want to feed our goals with a fire hose and just have it happen overnight and get it done in 3 months so that we could be living on top. And the disappointment, quite honestly, that we feel a lot of times is not because the goal wasn't great. We weren't willing to sit with it long enough to mature us and make us better. This really gets into that patience part. And this is something that I'm really starting to understand. That if I choose the shorter path, rushing to get results, rushing to success, I am guaranteeing myself that I'm gonna take shortcuts and that I'm gonna compromise on the quality of whatever I am getting. And ultimately, even that which I seeked, I will also lose. If you think about Apple, you think about any company that you've seen, Sony and all these different companies, they've gotten good because they've been willing to get good over time, incremental value, making this small tweak, learning from this experience, learning from that. The way they do things, I think what I realized is that as an entrepreneur, the best way I'm going to win is be in the game for the long term. I saw this quote about overnight successes happen within 10 years or more. And I know that sounds weird, but it's the truth. If you look at anybody who's had any amount of success, a lot of it is they took their time, and it just took time, and they were willing to stick with it over and over and over again until something happened. So my question to you is, are you willing to embrace incremental wins? I don't care if the incremental win is this week you fired off a couple of emails for potential opportunities. That is a win. In a particular mastermind that my wife are in, they have this acronym CAW, Celebrate All Wins. You've got to get good at celebrating even the smallest little things that you do because you're playing the long game. Now, don't get me wrong. We're all one relationship, one conversation, one meeting away from everything changing. But the difference is I'd rather show up at that moment where I'm prepared because I've been consistent on my goals and being aggressively patient than to actually put it aside. And then when the opportunity pops up, I'm not ready and I'm not prepared for the meeting. I feel like every setback, every opportunity, every learned situation, every little win is giving me the opportunity to get my reps in. So when that opportunity does pop up, I've been preparing the entire time to meet the moment. So just to recap, the reason why I really believe in this idea of being aggressively patient, number one, is because it's going to help us cultivate a very strong foundation. Number two, it's going to help us navigate some obstacles and setbacks. That's why it's got that patience part in there. And number three, we're going to give ourselves grace and time to allow for organic growth as we are chasing our dreams. I want you to really embrace this concept of being aggressively patient. Tell me down in the comments below what things you are going to implement based on this conversation today. Hey, well, I hope this episode was helpful to you. If it was, do me a favor, make sure that you share this, and also like, share, and subscribe, and let somebody else know about this show as well. If you're enjoying this type of content and you want more of it, make sure you also leave us a review. It helps us with rankings. More importantly, if you haven't yet subscribed to the show, what are you waiting on? Go ahead and do that now. We appreciate you, and I can't wait to talk to you again in the next episode. Make sure you continue to be aggressively patient.